Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's video on religious trauma. My name is Angel DeSantis. If this is your first video with me, I grew up in a cult called the Children of God, and I left. I now make these videos on religious trauma because there are so many more of us than we think. So I wanted to create this community of healing and talking about the topics that get in the way, because religious trauma is a very specific wound. And if the subject interests you and you find this useful, please click like and subscribe because it does help. And in this week's video, I want to talk about the need to continuously ask permission. And the reason that I want to talk about it is I have a lot of you in the comments, and I so appreciate the engagement and the community. I think we're building a really lovely community, and thank you for being a part of it. But sometimes there are questions that create a scenario and then ask me, like, well, what should I do? Like, this is the scenario, what should I do? And the reason that I don't give directive answers of what you should do is because I don't know what you should do. But the need to ask the question of what should I do is a symptom of growing up in an environment where you always needed permission to do the thing that you wanted to do. And so this is kind of twofold, because I believe that growing up in the religious environment, there is always, we all know this, there's the hierarchy, right? So even if you really want to do something, you're not allowed to do it unless you ask permission. There are always leaders or elders or a group or a panel of people who are trying to control what it is that you're doing. So your natural tendency then, even after you have left that environment, is to still look for permission. And this is also why we make really good workers, a lot of us. We work really hard, we're excellent employees, because we go into a situation where someone tells us what to do and we can do it. We're incredibly capable. But when it comes to our personal life, there is still that need to ask for permission because we are not used to listening to our own advice. And the wound of that shows up in two ways. The first way is that because you were always told what to do, you don't really listen to your internal guide. And number two, you are not used to having to cultivate the courage it takes to take action on the voice that you hear internally. And those are things that when you grow up in a healthy environment, you learn those things. You learn that you have an inner voice. You learn to listen to it and slowly take action on it. You learn that, well, are you hungry? Yes, you're hungry. Go find some food. You know, and you can see that in healthy families when, you know, the kid comes up and says, Mom, I'm hungry. And she says, go find yourself a snack. Something super simple like that. But the thing that you learn from that is that you can express what you want, and then you go start to take action to prove that you are a self-sustaining human being. But because we missed out on that growing up in a religiously abusive environment where people tell you what to do and you always need permission and you're punished for listening to your own voice, then when we're out in the world, there is still that tendency to try and search for permission to live our own lives. And I used to do this a lot. I remember when I did want to get divorced. I knew that I was in a marriage that was not good, and I wanted to get divorced. So what I did is I started asking people, like, when did you get divorced? What do you think about divorce? What do you think? And then you start asking the questions of, what do you think I should do? This is the situation. And the thing about asking those questions, and I appreciate that you ask those questions, but the thing about asking those questions is that you're asking them because you already know what you want your answer to be. You want a confirmation or a denial of the inner voice, of that thing that is saying, hey, we want to do this. But because you're used to externalizing the validation of your life, you're searching for outside sources still, or you might be searching for outside sources to give you the validation, to then internalize or like get that internal motivation to do the thing that you want to do. And there's a lot of layers to this, and it can feel really difficult. But mostly I want you to really think about why you are asking the question. Because if you are able to come up with the question, the answer is right around the corner. If you didn't know, or if you didn't have an inkling of what the answer was, you wouldn't be able to ask the question. So the nature of the question is also the nature of the answer. So when you find yourself asking those things, I would say take that question that you're giving others and just flip it around and ask it to yourself, because you do already know the answer. You're just not used to listening to yourself, and two, finding the internal motivation to create a different external environment. Because for a lot of us, our external environment, we never controlled. We didn't control any of it. So we're not used to having the courage to kind of pull our inner resource and take the external environment and make those changes. And it is incredibly difficult, especially if you haven't done it. It'll be really, really difficult. But I wanted to come on here and just ask you the questions that you're asking me, because I have no idea how to live your life. Anyone that says that they do know how to live your life is completely incorrect. I can give you my experience of my life and the questions that I would ask myself if I were in your situation, but I have no clue. I have no clue what you should do. You are the one with the context. You are the one with the cast of characters. You know the full story of your life, and there is something inside of you that already knows the answer to the question that you are asking. So my advice is to listen to that inner voice, because it is speaking to you, and it's speaking to you, I think, louder than you think it is, which is why you've come up with the question. But if at any time you find yourself at a crossroads in your life, I invite you to look really deep inside and give yourself 3 answers to your question. And if you'd like, and the reason I started doing 3 is because I could do one extreme, other extreme, middle. And I would come up with all 3 answers. And between all 3 of them, there was some stuff in there that was really good that I needed to be reminded of. So if you're asking a question to other people about something to do with your life, or what you should do, should you take the job, should you move, should you stop speaking to this person, is this person speaking to you in this way okay, or does it make you uncomfortable, is it worth speaking up? All of those things you already know, but keep on asking yourself questions and write out a couple of different answers. And what that is going to do is to show you that you have the possibility. All the answers that you make, all of that is internally generated. So you already have a very strong internal wisdom. You already have a guide. If you are here and this video is relevant to you, you already have much more courage than you think you do. You've already gotten yourself to this point. You're already the driver of your life. You just may not notice it yet. So hopefully with this video, what I am inviting you to do makes sense. And again, you want to heal from the past. You want to heal from the need to still need permission granted to your life in order for you to live it. You are responsible for your life, which means you have permission to live it however you see fit. At no point are you absolved of the consequences for your actions, but that is why you should really ask yourself questions, think about possible outcomes, and then have the courage, cultivate the courage to listen to yourself. You know what the answer is, and all you need now is the courage to take it into action. So taking that internal wisdom and making it real in the outside world, that is what's difficult. But I am inclined to believe that you already know in your gut knows what you want to do. And it's a matter of the courage to stand behind your own inner voice and believe yourself and take that out into the world. So I encourage you to look at all of the things that you have already had the courage to do, because looking at that will help you move forward with more courage. And it doesn't start with the big thing. It doesn't start with this huge, like, that's it, I'm going to quit my job and move across the country and see what happens. It starts with something small. Have you had the courage today to take care of yourself? Have you had the courage to sit with yourself in silence? Have you had the courage to journal your thoughts? Have you had the courage to believe what you are saying to yourself? So start with those little small things. Let those things build. Take some time today to look at what you have already had the courage to do, because it is way more than you think it is, I promise. And then use that courage to answer the question that you were trying to ask other people. Because again, the permission for your life and the responsibility of your life sits squarely on your shoulders. No one knows how to live your life better than you do, but you already have the capacity. You are fully capable of living a very bold and strong life that you want to live. You are capable of being happy. You're capable of changing your life. So that's my video this week. I hope that it was helpful. As usual, get in the comments, talk to each other. Share what you have found out about living your own life. Share the tools that have been able to give you courage to move forward. And as always, I will get in there and I will try and respond to everything. And I hope that these videos are helpful. Thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you next week.